Hey guys, you're early. You're always early. Hey Tommy, digger up. Craig, Chirpy. Hope you're doing all right, Chirpy, mental health wise, etc. And sort of hope you got that meal sorted out. Tommy, g'day. Mark Osborne, hello. Rustanox, g'day. Yeah, always slow. I don't start before 8. Stefan, hello. Mark Osborne, nice work on the tool grinder column, Chirpy. That's a bit of a job. Yeah, bandsaw all the way. I need a bandsaw at some point. Peter, hello. Willem, hello. Warren, g'day. Man Cave Metals, hello. We all take on jobs that tend to end up bigger than we thought they were going to be. I'm a bit guilty of that at the moment. I've got a job here that's pretty much crazy. G'day, David. You're doing well, Chirpy. You'll get through it. You'll get there. To take a bit, but making new machines is a pretty crazy job on anyone's standard. You're doing all right. I was going to shoot with my tablet, and I even put I've stuffed up here, I think. I put the GoPro clip on the back of my tablet, which is a really good idea. However, it's actually the GoPro clip for the wrong end of the GoPro. It's got 3 lugs instead of 2, so I can't actually use that, which is what I was going to do. So we're kind of, don't know what to do about that. I might try and find another one, because I really would like to use this tablet. This phone, the camera is not particularly good. Hey Dennis, hey Paddy. G'day Maddie. Nice job, Maddie, on the saddle stop. I'm going to put this tablet out of the way before it gets broken. Big welcome to new subscribers. If any of you are watching this, I don't know if this is kind of how we roll here. There was no video over the weekend, so if you want an update, this is where you get it. But we're up since last week. We must be up 40, 50 subscribers. Someone's given me a shout out somewhere. I don't know where, but thanks, whoever you are. Probably JB. Don't know. I'm sort of, it doesn't get me anywhere having a sawing attachment for my shaper because it's hand operated anyway. But I think a bandsaw is down the road before very long. Shop vac first, new one. I've spent all weekend messing around with this. I'm going to push this back. Horizontal mill's pretty good for heavy cut-off work, but you've got to have sharp cutters. and quite often that's what I use. Anyway, this is where we're at. I don't know if anyone saw JB's video about cutting this out, wire cutting this piece for this. He's done it. Go and check it out if you haven't. JB from Oz. He's got this wire cut for me out of 25mm plate. Now, I've been messing with this to see what I was going to do. I was going to chop this out, but for reasons given later, it's not going to work to have this recessed. And when I designed this, I designed it for a 20mm plate on the bed, and everything lines up, including this grub screw in here and this gear that goes on the spindle. However, with 25mm plate, it's 5mm out, which is half a gear, and that's a bit of a problem. So hey, John. Here we have heat and basically 90% humidity. That was what I was going to do. So I had this thought that I was going to recess this here 6mm and here, and leave clearance in here, put a bush in here, the top of the bush looking something like this, right? And that was going to give me clearance on here for these bolts here, and it was going to give me extra 5mm in the bottom here. If you imagine this is inch thick here, for rigidity and support. And it was going to make everything line up, but it doesn't. So what I'm going to end up doing is cutting this out of 25mm plate and then making everything flush on the front, I think. And still putting a spacer in here or a top hat bush or something on here, or just boring it out even and pushing a bush in that's that much longer. And making a bush on this side with basically a flange on it that's that big as well. So the reason for that is if we put this on here, don't know if anyone's particularly interested in this, but it will help me to talk about it, because then I'll be able to sort of get my head around it. If I put this on here with this bush, that all fits nicely here. However, and it also clears here, and I've sanded that down so it clears here too. However, if we put this banjo on here at the same height, so that all these gears on here line up, which they need to with this, the problem is, you can probably see this now, is that this has a T-nut through the back of it, and it's going to bump on there. So that's not going to work. We're not going to get up close here like this, like we need to. So that's not a design consideration anymore. We're going with just 25mm, and we're probably going to press this off and machine this back a bit, press it back on 5mm back this way, and leave a shoulder on the back. That's the theory. John, that's a pretty good option, but I don't think it's going to work. I thought about it. Hi, Richard. So I'm going to make this out of 10mm plate instead of 12, which means that I can lift this up an extra 3mm. And that gives us, well, 2 anyway. And that gives us enough clearance on the back for here, so it doesn't hit here. And we'll put an extra bush under here so that this is the clearance, and put an extra millimetre under there so we've got some clearance here, and hopefully everything's going to line up and clear. I think that's the answer. This last weekend's work is all in here. This is a bit of a job, actually. Put that in there so it doesn't come off. This bush here, which is 4140, we might take this off so you can see. This stud is too long, I think, now. There is no plan to build from. That's why I have bits of wood. There's a spacer between the gears. There's a key in there. This has got two needle roller bearings in here, and a flash washer and a nut on the back to give it some clearance, and that runs nicely. Now, the outside of the needle roller cages in this are N6, N7 fit, something like that. I was pretty impressed about that. Which has tightened that up on the shaft beautifully. So it's a little bit firm probably, but it's not too bad. There's no manual, unfortunately. So this little piece here, this took me all weekend to make this bush and this shaft. The shaft's hardened and it's polished to go in the needle rollers, and it's got a washer there and a bolt. It's got a little bit of clearance around it, and this is recessed in here nicely back into here so that we haven't got too much thickness here and we don't offset our gears too much. So very strong opinion on that. I can read plans, but I didn't get that point. I have all this drawn out in CAD, and in fact the thumbnail was actually the CAD work for this, which JB's put into the wire EDM and cut this out. That's coming. It's on the way. I've got the tracking number for that, which is pretty exciting. Hopefully this week, but we'll see. It's coming from the other side of the country. It's a long way. So this goes in this eccentric bush, and then it goes through the body here. If we imagine that's an inch thick, it goes through there, but through the body against this. Probably it's just going to be a short top hat bush that's pressed in the same hole, or Loctited in or screwed on or something, just for a spacer. It goes through there, and it's going to have some sort of a clamping collar on there to stop it turning. Yeah, it's coming from Western Australia. So that's the theory. You've still got to work out this clamping collar. I'm probably the nicest way is to split this and put a bolt through here, but it might be too late for that, and I'm not sure whether that's a good idea or not. I could just put it through and put a grub screw in it, which I don't like very much because there's a roller cage in the back. I could just put it in and Loctite it in, but I don't like that very much either, in case you've ever got to get apart. I could set it up again and run a thread on the back and then recess it and put a nut on it. I don't like that because I think it'll come unscrewed. So that's where we're at. This has got a little plate that comes across this piece of inch plate here with a detent in it, which you pull for the 3 positions. And this gives us forward here and neutral and reverse. So that's the theory. I'm sticking to it. I've still got to work out, I want to put needle rollers in here as well, but this needs to stick out because the gear needs to go on the top here, probably a double stack gear, the same as we've got here with a keyway, and then a spacer between them, so that we can put the spacer on the back or the front and use both sides of both positions in the stack for this final gear. And I have a nut that I've made to go on the outside, so I like the nut idea because it doesn't seem to come loose, and it doesn't have to be particularly tight. It's not going to work undone, whereas these, if they bind, they will undo the nut. And this is the spacers for the banjo. I've only got 2 of these. I was going to make this with 3 slots. I'm not sure I am, because that means I've probably got to make another one of these. And it's a lot of work in this, actually. These T-nuts have got like anti-turn slots in the bottom. And then this has got a slot in here so that when you do it up on the steel plate, you don't need to put a spanner behind it to do it up, which is really nice. That was one of the design criteria. And then all these are bronze bushes spinning with a keyway in them, and got to make keys and all those sort of things. And these are a pretty good fit. Everything's a nice fit, which is what it wants to be. It all slides from one end to the other. So there's a lot of work in them. So there you go. How will you lubricate the needle rollers? They're lubricated for a lifetime. I put these together with some decent grease, and probably in another 12 or 18 months I'll put them apart and re-grease them and wash them up. But at this point, they're in there and they're in there to stay. I'm not taking them apart, I don't think. So that's that was the idea, is that they're never going to be lubricated again. So all these thousands of bits, and then I start to look at gear ratios, because I've got to know some stuff, right? This has got to be a little bit closer than this to the edge probably, and I'm going to make this out of 10mm steel. And this goes on here. I'm going to put a curved slot in here, and then a bolt through from this side with a little handle on it, and a T-nut in the top, so that when you do up the handle, this locks in position here. That's the idea. If anyone's got a better idea than that, that's great. But it gives us a little bit less room here than I would like, so the slots don't come up as far as I would like. But if we're using, say, the 20-tooth gear here and a 30, I would really like that to be a lot closer there, but it's not. So that's a bit of a trade-off that we're going to have to live with, I think. Probably what I'm going to do is only make the slot go to here, run this one all the way through so that we do have somewhere to put the close gear, and that'll give us from about that position through to that position, which is all we need. So that's the best. Mr. Pete loves his drill press vices. The trouble is he's got too many drill presses. Look, you can't tell him because he's probably the most charming conversationalist you'll ever meet. If you do get lucky and meet Mr. Pete, he's probably one of the most charming and affable conversationalists you'll ever meet, and he will hold a conversation with anyone and it will be amazing and you'll be left a better person for it. So there's absolutely no way anyone's going to tell him that, not to his face anyway, that there's too many drill press vices. So what I'm thinking is that I'm only going to put two of these on here, right? And I'm going to make this quadrant around this half, and I'm going to run this one all the way up close so that I can run a 20 and a 21 tooth gear, which is kind of what I need to do. I've had, like that, I've had thoughts about making a 127 tooth gear, and that's the most accurate way to get close to metric equivalent or to imperial equivalents, but there's no point in it. It's a big job to cut it. I've got to find stock and I've got to cut it off and part it and face it and all that sort of stuff. And it will fit in my dividing head, but only just. So I'm going to go with a 21 tooth, and I can get just about anything with that combination of gears. No, Mr. Pete is an amazing guy, like really. There's a couple of us here in the chat who have met him, and he's an incredible man to hold a conversation with, and there's always something to be learnt, and you always leave in a good mood. He's that sort of guy. So I haven't got all the gears I'd like, and for some peculiar reason, all the gears that I'd like are not available on eBay, because it would still be cheaper to buy Chinese gears for a mini lathe than it would to buy a set of cutters and the stock to make these. Unfortunately, for some bizarre and oops, that doesn't help. It's the trouble with these, all these bits are round. Some bizarre reason you can't buy Chinese gears for mini lathes. These are the same gears as a C3C has, and these are C3C gears, and I bought them cheap, and they're good gears. I've been 3D printing the rest, and I don't think they'll last long, but it gives us an idea how much space we need to make all the ratios, so I've been messing around with that. This is probably not a bad print. The teeth profile is crappy because they're a bit swollen here. No 63 tooth gear, Raymond. G'day, Raymond. probably I could. I can cut all these. If I just use a 21 tooth, which is that one, and use that for my close to imperial ratios, are plenty close enough. 4 decimal places in metric. That's heaps enough. Then I can cut all these on my dividing head. So that's where I'm at. But until then, we've got some plastic gears that may or may not last. They probably will work for ages. They seem to hold up okay. So what I probably need to do is find some sort of stock. I don't know what these are. I guess they're just steel. They're just nicely finished. They don't seem to go rusty. And cut all these gears. That's another job, but that's a week's work in those. I need to get out with the drill press and the hacksaw and the files and make one of them up and cut some slots in it in the mill. I made a T-nut this weekend too, if we're not bored of this. Hey Brendan. Yeah, seriously, the gears that I made for the 400 engine as a trial, they seem pretty strong when they're in the machine, and I mean you haven't got hope of breaking them, so they're probably plenty good enough. I've got no idea what grade steel that I need, Mancave. I've got absolutely no idea at all. 1020 would probably do. Probably I'm going to cut them out aluminium because I've got aluminium to make about half of them, and I could cut the rest out of sheet. So I made a T-nut, and this one isn't cast iron, right? Not making that mistake ever again. This one's 1020, I think, or 1018, something like that steel. And I case hardened it just as a trial run. Just seeing how case hardening compound and the heat treat oven go together. There's some things to work on with that, but so far we haven't done too much damage to the oven yet. It's pretty corrosive stuff. And this goes in the T-slot on the back of the lathe, and this clamps this down with a cam lever on the side here to hold it in place. So that's the updates on that. Yeah, at least I made photo of the week. That's right, and the YouTube Machinist video. So I might get some stickers. YouTube Machinist Facebook page. I might get some stickers out of that or something. Keep sending John stickers. He needs them. I think he put them all on newspaper and he uses them on his bed now. So these gears are easy. All these bits are coming together. I get the base and get it on the machine and get some of these bits going that I still need to make and I've got worked out. then all I need to do is work out this bush. It's got to have a double height shaft with a keyway like this, and a thread on the end, and then it's got to have 2 needle rollers or something. Size is a bit of a problem. And then on the back, it's got to have some sort of a coupling to put this on with. Some sort of a system would be really nice that we can lift it on and off easily, and that hasn't got a key in it. So I'm still thinking about that. So that goes on the back here, on the carriage side of the lathe, looking at the back. So I don't know, I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do here. And that's the only real design part that I haven't worked out and got sorted. Everything else looks pretty good. Oh, and how I'm going to hold this in here. This needs to go in here, so there's a few ways to do that, but probably I'm going to slip this through here and put a counterboard bolt in here so that I can squash this together and maybe hold it that way. That might be the best, I think. Anyway, Man Cave. Interested in cast iron bar stock? Depends on lots of things. There's a bit I've got left over for piston rings. Right, it's the only bit I've got. There are projects for it. I don't have any at the moment. Someone else might know. It's great for pulleys. John's putting that pulley back on the other end of his motor, so you'll need a pulley. Yeah, I'm the same as Craig. I like to buy stuff. So if you've got it in stock and you say you've got it in stock, I might be interested. Craig's got that sign up on his was it Craig? Someone's video I watched, someone had a sign up that said the floor is not a shelf. Don't believe that. Please, Dennis, I've been telling you for, 3 or 4 years? Please make a series on how to use tools, special use carbide, and resharpening angles. Please, Dennis, I hope you're listening. I don't know if you can, but I have this set here by a tool company. No idea what they do. Not use them, not really even looked them up. One says stabilizer and they've got numbers on them. I should look them up and use them because they're no good sitting here, and I don't know what they all do, but they're all a little bit fancy. So there's not that knowledge out there. Yeah, there's a million cutting tool videos that you could make. If you wanted to specialize, people would probably watch it and binge watch them. The other something that I think would make an excellent channel, and you could do nothing else except mill hold down accessories, and you could get 5 years out of mill hold down accessories without repeating the same project twice and never have enough of them. There's 1,000 of them. These I'm waiting for steel, so I need 50 by 50 1214 would be really nice for those. I've got some ideas on how to mill them that I never had a week ago, so they're getting a lot closer. Yeah, technical stuff, Dennis, is awesome. There's not, in my opinion, there's not enough of it on YouTube. There's not enough about probably 3 things. One is how things work, and that probably includes cutting tools. Another one is ISO standards and tolerances. If Stefan's still listening, maybe he could pretend he didn't hear that or whatever he wants to do. Tolerances and fits, things like that would be awesome. The other thing is tool steel grades and metal grades, which is a bit topical in chat. Some videos on tool steel grades and ISO numbers and cross references and how it all works. Would be amazing too, and there's not enough heat treating videos with that information in mind. It's all a bit generalized and a little bit 1940s English, unfortunately. So there you go. I really think the NSI standards are fantastic, Stefan, and if you call out a number, I can generally look it up and know what it is, whereas the Americans, sometimes I can't. Machinist handbook's all right. It's not up to date. Most people's machinery handbook is not up to date, and it's not a corporate shill thing. So the problem with machinery's handbook is that you don't have international companies who make tool steel. You don't have their product line and what it does, and you don't have obtainable stuff in machinery's handbook. We have a number that your guess is as good as mine what it actually is, and it's not so good. That's right. I can do a nice rattle fit too. Stefan, ooh, it's good for some things. Generally, if you look for stuff in it, it's in there, but it's usually in Black Book too, and easier to find. They'll turn communist first, Paddy. And that's the other thing, is that the print's too small in it. I've got a 1940s one and it's fine. But the reason that they're in mint condition is that no one ever uses them. You've got the 5 pieces of information you use in your everyday life that are actually written on the whiteboard, and the rest you never use. So they're the things that I think are missing. And people do amazing project videos, and they say, oh, they used P2 or I used D2 or I used the Americans say we used 4140 or I used whatever. And no one really gives much of a reason why or why they selected that. With me, you know, it's because it's what I had on hand or what I could actually buy because I live in Australia. But most people don't have really a clue why that material was chosen, and the process to heat treat it or to stabilize it or to anneal it or to normalize it. And more people than ever have the equipment to do that. And more people are interested in the equipment to do that. So it's sort of, I've been talking to Stan a little bit about putting like an inert gas supply in my oven, which would be really, really nice. And that's something that might be something we might be working on. But hi, Anthony. Craig, that's very true. You should do that, Chirpy. You should print it out and laminate it because that's probably something you use all the time. Anyway, they're the things that I think would be really awesome in videos. The other thing that makes great video, and I haven't seen enough of them yet, and I hope you're all listening because you're all onto this and you're all really good at this and you've all promised. Codehanger 2020, hashtag Codehanger 2020. I haven't put this up yet, but I'm going to make a video about it. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do until I've done it. So it's not even going to be on Facebook or Instagram. I'm just going to do it. So I've got some ideas and some really good ideas, I hope. And I've sort of cut some bits of wood and sort of made a template and stuff. And we'll see how we go with it. But it might be fun. Who started their video? That's exactly right, Stefan. This is another thing that's really guilty of that. This is awesome, right? If you're working in fractions all the time and you're scaling fractions on things like the Stuart 400, which is 932, 3/4 of 932, and it has to be the nearest metric size because it's the only material you can get. This is amazing. It's such an awesome tool. If you're working in metric and you want, say, an N7 fit, it's very, very, very easy to stuff up and get a reading that's not right, and it's very difficult to trust because the metric's its second language, and that's how it feels with Machinery's Handbook. I like this for some things. For other things, I worry about it because if you forget to convert something to metric, which you've got to do for every operation, you find that you've got an incorrect answer, and if you rely on it, it's too late. That's awesome, Craig. Tommy, I understand. Yeah, Codehanger 2020, Russ Knox says this thing, there's a YouTuber that's got a very good channel with a lot of shaper content and a bit of humor. He's going to be the next This Old Tony. He's a really good channel. It's worth checking out. He's put out a challenge to use the hashtag CoatHanger2020 Rustanox. So go and check him out. Have a look at the hashtag. That's the best way to find him. It may include a Meccano Clockwork motor, Mark Osborne. So it's a maybe. We'll see. But it may also include some tin plate work, and it's probably going to, yeah, we'll see. I'm not going to give too much away, but I've got thoughts about it, and I've been looking. I need somewhere to hang my apron and my hat up, so it's very timely here, so I'm going to make something cool. Wait and see. What I actually said then was that I was going to win this, because not like it's a competition, but it sort of is if you include me in it, so I'm going to win. That's where I'm at with that. You know what I mean. Other progress, nothing on the Stuart 400. I've roughed out a blank for the cam, and that's sort of something. I've done some artwork in CAD to get the angles and had to think about a setup, and I think when I get it all right and I make it, it won't be a huge job. No word on the head and a new piston, which is coming from America. I talked to Clark this morning and it hasn't happened yet. He's crazy busy though. Yeah, no pressure, anyone. Picture for Stefan while he's still there, if he's still there. This is a AA size multi-fix holder, so if you're into, just so you know, it's tiny. It's a Chinese knockoff. That's just putting that out there. No, don't retract. I know you can beat me, but where's the fun in that, Rustanox? Is, yeah, I need something nice for inside here, so I'm going to make something nice that I like. Now I've got thoughts about it. And there's no pressure, just beat me, because I'm going to make something pretty cool, I think, at this point. Probably going to give up halfway through and you're never going to see it. But there's not going to be too many updates till it's up and running, I don't think. Hey, JB, we were just talking about you. We need a price list for wire EDM service in Australia. And we also need, please, some more information of how it works, because I've been asked that question about 1,000 times and I sort of had to look it up and I still don't understand. So if anyone wants to do a video on that wire EDM and how it actually works and the processes involved, that would be awesome. Craig, you might be right. You might be right. But anyway, we'll see. I've just got to put mine on the wall. Look, really need... Matty says, what width is the cut, JB? And yeah, say hi to this old Tony. .2 millimeters. That's why it's sort of a close fit to get out when it's inch thick. So yeah, don't know if there's a lot else to discuss. I've had my time and my effort and energy and thought processes pretty much immersed in this project at the moment because I'd like to get it finished now. We're getting a little bit closer. In fact, if we cut these two bits out and put them together, we're very, very close to having gears from the spindle to here. And then we've got a drive from here to the compound. So all we need to know is how to connect the two together. That's about the only part of the design process that I haven't done. I was going to make a Blondie hacks joke there, John, but I won't because that'd be mean. It's a fairly, Craig, it's a fairly substantial machine with a computer and everything. I would imagine that, I don't know how it compares, really. I think that my take on it is that it's all right if you're making small parts. Super expensive, Stefan says. If it was a service that was available with a $100 minimum sale, I reckon we could line up work everywhere. It would save so much time. Getting bits like this cut out. You can make me some gears. There's 1,000 projects for it. It's such a awesome machine for small parts. Go and have a cigarette break if you smoke. It's a terrible habit. Don't catch your coat on fire because you'll need it for a coat hook video. It's definitely a good machine to carry. Next week, hopefully, we'll have the bits here and we'll be able to have a closer look at them if I haven't already got them on the machine. Rusty Knox, give us an update video too and run through some of the people who've already got videos up and give them a shout out. Get a little bit of noise happening, and if you've got a video, I'll share it to my community and probably to my Facebook. So your post and your first video is pinned to the Facebook Machinist group on Facebook, their first post. So get us some information and get a bit of a ball rolling, and we will definitely share it as much as we possibly can and get some noise happening. Thanks, Rust Knox. Well, that's awesome, JB, that you got some work for it, because I think it's awesome. I can think of a couple of production projects that would probably sell if you could be bothered making them. 4 hours at $200 an hour. That's an expensive part. I take back what I said. Anyway, Dennis, thank you. We're all interested in that. Composites too, we're pretty interested in. So love to see some videos from you. Just make a video, we'll watch it and I'll share it. Promise. Oh, and also, Dennis, please, if you're still there, an update on the lathe, because we're wondering how that's going. Anyway, that's about me. That's sort of close to an hour, and that's probably long enough of me rabbiting on about crap. We all have projects like that. I was just looking at my Facebook wall, and there's, or my Instagram wall actually, and I'm getting updates from a year ago when I made some of these parts. I haven't done anything on this since, so it's time to get this finished. We all do that. Don't know what else to do. Go and check out JB's wire EDM videos on making this if you haven't already. Check out my videos on these that I'm making. There'll be another one before too long, I hope. And another question I had is, if I make a dedicated video about this, everyone's already seen it. If I bother to make a dedicated couple of videos about this and the parts and how they all fit together and what's involved and what steels I used and heat treating processes and things, is anyone going to watch them? That's where I'm at with that. I guess they probably will, because it's not old videos recycled off Patreon that they don't watch. We won't know till it's done, Craig, so there we go. I guess you got to watch it. Anyway, thanks guys for all your support, all your help. There's a couple of new patrons on Patreon. That's awesome. Really appreciate that. If you're watching this, big shout out to you guys. I really appreciate that. And what else? There's an awesome community out there, and everyone has helped with this, and there's been a lot of people that really have. Mancave Mentals sent some stuff. JB's got this sorted for me. There's quite a few people have been pretty helpful with links and parts and where to find it. John Creasy's been amazing. He always is. And a huge thanks, but I sort of owe it to some of you to get this finished. So that's the project for a little while now. Anyway, I'm off. Huge thanks. Go and check out Mancave Metals on Facebook if you're in Australia. He's pretty easy to deal with. He's quick and he sends stuff out, and he's getting a bigger range of stuff now. If there's anything you particularly want, go and share. Go and talk to him. And it's a sponsorship message from me. And I'm out. We'll see you next week, and there'll be a video before then. We'll see you. Thanks. Be kind to each other.